So what was the transition like going from CrossFit Inland Empire to the athletics?
So, starting CrossFit Inland Empire has been around for at least 7 years in Mira Loma, and servicing a very specific and unique niche of fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And when Paul and I teamed up, he's been waiting to get into Eastvale for a long time. He's been in Eastvale for 10 years, but there's just no commercial space in order to have your own gym. So if he wanted to run a gym, it would have to be out of retail space, which is really expensive. So he started in his garage, ended up at the park, then moved to Mira Loma, which was the closest commercial space he could find. So that's where he was for 7 years. And, finding out about this space being built, it was like, hey, we're planning on coming back to Eastvale. So kind of near and dear to his heart in terms of getting back into the city. This particular project wasn't going to be passed by the city of Eastvale because they didn't want more trucking. They didn't want a bunch more, warehouse type stuff. With Amazon, obviously, 2 million square foot buildings is a lot of trucking. So they already have that enough with Ontario and with Rupert Valley and all the surrounding areas. So the city was like, no, that's not what we want the north end of Eastvale to be about. And so Paul had spent pretty much every city council meeting going, there needs to be something for small business owners. Right. So fast forward 3 years, it only took 3 years to get that all started and going. So we ended up over here, and his philosophy and my philosophy has always been there's no one way to get fit. Mm-hmm. And CrossFit is great, but some people are terrified of it. Some people have gotten hurt. Some people don't want anything to do with barbells, whatever. So the goal is, when we moved over and combined forces, that we wanted to provide multiple avenues for people to work out. Mm-hmm. The other issue that a lot of CrossFit gyms run into is maybe like a married couple, one person likes CrossFit, one person does Zoom. Well, yeah. So what other class? Like, I go to 24-Hour Fitness, I go to Bally's, I go to Fitness 19, whatever that is, which is fine. But now you're dividing the family. People are going different directions. They're coming home at different times. And so, our goal was to provide something where the family unit can work out together as well. So there's something for kids. There's something for older people, younger people, people that want to do CrossFit, people that don't. So our goal was that's why we expanded to Eastvale Athletics, keeping Eastvale CrossFit within kind of the umbrella of the bigger parent company, but to provide multiple avenues for people to come in and work out with their family.
Right. So what were some of the budgeting things that you had to take into consideration going from a smaller space to this one?
Obviously rent.
Yeah.
It's a brand new building. Supply and demand, if you know anything about economics. So there are only 3 buildings, obviously, in all of Eastvale that provide this type of space. So rent costs were going to go up. Right. I think electrical, yes, no, in that like the lights turn off on them. So like the building is a LEED building, so it's all environmentally friendly, safe. Takes into account conserving energy, all that kind of stuff. So there's some benefit to the newer building, but so mostly facilities. The other thing in general overall overhead would be payroll. So now we're going from just one kind of component with a certain number of hours a day. Right. Our goal was to also have the gym open all day for people to do open gyms. So going from, hey, we work at 3 hours in the morning, then we do 4 hours in the afternoon, 7 hours a day being open versus 12 hours a day is a little bit different scenario. So overhead with coaching staff, budgeting for multiple facets or multiple programs were really the biggest things. Like, hey, is our membership going to be able to cover and pay for how much we want to expand? Because it doesn't matter if you want to have all the programs if you can't afford to have all the programs. Right.
So when you guys were coming into this building, did you have to decide on like what air conditioning unit was going to be put in, different?
No, the builder did all of, or the owner did all of that. So we did. So originally we have 4 suites
Mhm.
of 5, and originally they're like just gunshot, straight length, warehouse spaces.
Right.
So it's like offices in the front, warehouse in the back. So we had to sit down and design how we wanted the building to look. So how big do we want the kids' space? How big do we want the bathrooms? Showers were a huge deal for us, kind of a deal breaker for a lot of people that do early morning classes. So, or like a noon class where they have to go back to work. So the showers were crucial for us, which most warehouse spaces don't need showers. So the actual layout of how we wanted to design the 4 suites rather than having 4 individual suites, and then the showers were the 2 main things that we had concern with or had input in terms of building out. But everything else, like from the lighting to the air conditioning units to all that kind of stuff, they provided, they chose. So,
is there anything that has like malfunction or broke since you guys got here that you have to fix, or do they kind of take care of that? If it's
yeah,
on
so
their
some of it is under is our responsibility. So if there's anything with the bathrooms, like plumbing, whatever, obviously there's kind of a gray area as to what they're going to cover, what they're not going to cover. We had a window just shatter. We were literally standing here and the window just broke because it had been so hot. The building's still settling. I mean, it was literally finalized in April and we moved in May. So a lot of shifting still. Right. And because they're aluminum case with the heat, they do a lot of flexing. Right. So I'm sure we'll get more window shattering. But we had one window shatter, so they replaced it. One of the biggest things is the individual units come with kitchenettes, and so the way we designed it, it didn't have a kitchenette. So we were able to get an extra one, and we took out our water fountains on one side, and then had a plumber come in and plumb a sink, because there's already a drain for everything. So it wasn't that difficult, but we ended up with a small leak. So it's little stuff like that where it's like, okay, you do extra work. So anything that went wrong with that, we had to fix, and so we had to pay someone to come out. Right. So a lot of it's just troubleshooting, making sure things are working properly, and getting the internet and all that set up was a nightmare because we were the first. Well, we were the first business operating and functioning in all of these, so it was like, oh, it's not there yet, and then they're like, hey, call Cox, okay, call AT&T, and both of them are like, we don't service that area. It's like, okay, nobody services the area, awesome. Yeah. So a lot of it's usually just in the setup. Once everything gets going, it's on them to make sure they're providing the services. Then we just have to put everything in our name. Right. So
I know you guys have a waiver for people that come in. When it comes to the coaches, are they CPR and AED certified? Like, how do you go about like risk management if there's ever injuries or anything like that? Yeah, so some of the changes that we made, it's mandatory that all coaches have CPR, AED certification. So we held a class, like 4 months ago, got everybody certified. Our first aid kit was pretty outdated, so got a new one. Actually bought an AED. So, putting stuff, making sure that we're aware of like any issues. We've got the appropriate equipment to use. Right. It's on a maintenance plan, so it's kind of somewhat idiot-proof. You just get it, make sure it's on a maintenance plan, make sure, you're testing it out adequately monthly, going through drills or different things with the employees so that they know, hey, this is a problem. Or if things come up, it's like, hey, I use the ice pack out of the, whatever. So a lot of it's communication, and log and all that kind of stuff. So we don't really run into very many issues, thankfully. But we do have a kids area. We do have, so there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and we just want to be prepared as much as possible so that our members are taken care of. Right. So when you're targeting to other markets or audiences, obviously, you guys want a well-rounded fitness approach. How do you do that? Is it social media, word of mouth? Mostly social media. Facebook's been huge. We haven't really advertised much anywhere else. We have gone through the city Parks and Rec services, so that's been really good for us. We think we did the picnic in the park. So, see? Energy efficiency.
So we did picnic in the park just to let people know that we're here. You know, we get a lot of walk-ins like, oh, I've seen your flags. I just wanted to see kind of what you're about. So we're still in the process of getting like our signage on the windows and on the building and that kind of stuff, which has taken a little longer than we anticipated. But yeah, so most of it's we're on a really good corner. We get a lot of traffic through here, so it's just basic. Hey, we're here,
right?
And then Facebook pushes have been the most helpful for us.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The lights told us it's time to go.
Right.
It's time to cut.
Said you don't got to go home, but you got to leave here.
Right. Right. Should still.